Welcome to our meeting. The date is May 27, 2025. The time is 7 p.m. This is an open meeting of the Grand Island City Council. The City of Grand Island abides by the Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is displayed in the back of this room as required by state law. The City Council may vote to go into closed session on any agenda item as allowed by state law. At this time, I ask that you stand and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The city clerk will now perform roll call.
Council President Sheard.
Present.
Councilmember Stelk. Present. Councilmember Conley will be absent. Councilmember Nickerson.
Present.
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Hazy.
Present.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Present.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Present.
Councilmember Pollock.
Present.
Councilmember Lanfear.
Present.
And Mayor Steele.
Present. Also present are Jill Grenier, the city clerk, Laura McAloon, the city administrator, Patrick Brown, the assistant city administrator, chief financial officer, Carrie Fisk, the city attorney, Keith Kurtz, the public works director, and Matthew Gleason, the finance director. Individuals who have appropriate items for city council consideration should complete the request for future agenda items form located at the information booth. If the issue can be handled administratively without council action, notification will be provided. If the item is scheduled for a meeting or study session, notification of the date will be given. Council members, from tonight's consent agenda, items 7D and M have been removed for additional consideration. Do you, council members, wish to remove any other consent agenda items? Hearing none, we shall continue. A sign-up sheet was available in the lobby for individuals wishing to provide input on any of tonight's agenda items. If you did not sign up to speak on an agenda item, please come forward, state your name and the agenda topic on which you will be speaking.
Morning, afternoon. Gary Quant, 609 West 14th, item C under public hearings.
Thank you, Mr. Quant. Hearing no further people who want to speak, we will continue with our agenda. The first item is 6A, Financial Presentation and Fiscal Year 2026 Budget Update. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tonight, we'll kind of have a quick overview of the finances. So far this year, we're right on track with what we have. So the data I'm going to show you is up to 4/30 of 25, except for the sales tax, which has one extra month in there. So we're just going to start off with the sales tax. So right now, we're 2% ahead from last year. Now, the little caveat here is when I put my cursor over here, so for May, which was March sales, last year we had a refund, economic incentive refund of $341. if you would factor that back into that sales tax revenue, we would actually be down for that month. So overall, we're tracking at 2%, so we're looking pretty good there. And so, as usual, I like going to our Transparency Center in order to do this budget update or financial update. We'll start with the dashboards. So property tax, there's not much discussion there. It's a very solid revenue source. We get our property tax coming up here, we'll get a big bump. So we'll end up with 12 million. So the next graph is just the mill levy coming down from the last 6 years, where we've just been consistent with our tax ask. Here's the distribution of our tax dollars. So the numbers associated with this here is actually my house. So what I pay, $2,685, goes to the school. Hall County, $878. City, $627. And then here's the distribution percentage-wise. So for your property tax. Next one is casino tax. Again, this is ending 4/30 of 25. And we're at 510, so this looks a little low. However, I did factor in the resort opening. So the gambling receipts or the casino tax for what we are getting this month, it's usually around 75,000, is bumped to 125. So first month end is 125. So that tracks with what we were forecasting. What else we have here is we're tracking well on our investments. We forecasted 1.8 million, and we're at 1.2, only 7 months in. So I expect that to be close to 24 revenues. Food and beverage, that is also tracking very well this year as we go along. We budgeted for 3.2 million. We're at 1.8. Again, 7 months in. Our expenditures, we're just into the project time of the year, and so these expenditures will go up. You will see the expenditure budget of 5.8 million. That is spending down some of the cash fund in the food and beverage. Hotel occupation tax. We budgeted revenue of 425,000, and we have collected 269,000. Another hotel, motel has just come online, I believe, this month. So out by the new hospital. Springfield Inn, I believe it's in. Our expenditures, budgeted 425, and we're at 356. That is, we had advanced some of the money to Heartland Event Center on getting them up and running. So those are some of those costs. So Keno, we budgeted revenue of 315,000. We're at 145.7. Expenditures are very low right now. Again, same with food and beverage. Project time of year is coming up, so you'll be seeing some expenditures out of that. Also, you'll be seeing that expenditure for the 4th Street lighting. So if you come to the website and you would like just to see expenditures, and I want to show you something here. So in 2024, We have talked about vacancy savings on personnel, okay? So it's for the general fund, that's what it's set at. If you do it by object, personnel services, so we budgeted 39.8 and we spent 36.3. So typically in years past and with our fiscal policies, those savings actually just goes into our reserves. As I have mentioned previously to council to see if they were open to the suggestion of what if we took some of these vacancy savings we have year prior and apply them to the following year budget. And so that discussion will come up once we get into the budgeting process. Now, you might ask, and this is, to me, this is interesting, so I'm geeking out here a little bit. So public safety, so it's police, fire, 911, and it's also building inspection. So if you look at the breakdown, and you just want to go right into the police department. Now, I'm not picking on anybody, so this is really good information. So here's the actual detail. So we are actually pretty close, and our issue was health insurance here. So the amount budgeted was 9.9 for salaries. We spent 9 million, okay? So 900,000 difference. However, if you look at the overtime, it was 160,000 over. Okay, so they're actually negative. But if you go down to the health insurance line, we budgeted 2.2 million, and they spent 1.7. So we as a finance department need to look at this much sharper. Our previous strategy was for all vacancy positions, we will forecast the highest health insurance that you could possibly have. Well, the majority of our newer recruits, newer people who are coming in are going with the high handicap insurance. And so we are going to change the way we forecast to a high handicap or high deductible. So again, this is on our website. And you could start doing the analysis on this. We also have the revenues, the checkbook, and so anything you want to check on our department where we are at, it's a pretty good tool to use. So, are there any questions on our financial status right now?
Mr. Nickerson.
I'm always going to ask this question because things are always changing. Are we seeing any concern with any dollars from the state or federal government that we rely on that you think are in jeopardy?
No. I think all the grants that we have come through, have they not? I don't recall. The only one would have been the railroad. Did that come? No?
Yeah, the railroad one was paused and
Yeah.
has not been reactivated.
Yeah.
We do have some concerns about new compliance requirements that have been put on the city. And then looking forward, CDBG funds are one where we know that the new requirements could have, if someone makes a mistake in how funds are spent, that could have serious consequences for us. So one of the recommendations that's making its way through to the council is how those funds would be allocated. So allocating them only to city projects, and then we are looking for other sources of city funds that we could use to kind of backfill the funding that CDBG has historically provided to nonprofits in the community.
Okay.
Okay. So in the budget process, here's our budget calendar. And we are basically at the June 2nd timeline. So this is when we're going to start internal meetings with all the departments. They've all submitted, most of them, submitted their budgets. And so we will, administration, mayor, and we will go through those budgets and look to see what they have, and then start scheduling our study sessions with you all and giving you that high level. So I will tell you that most of the budgets have come in what we've asked, some have not. So we'll go through the process. So we're on track, and hopefully we'll get this all taken care of. Any questions?
No further
Thank you.
questions. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 7A through L, with the exceptions of D and M? Mr. O'Neill.
I move we approve consent agenda items A through C and E through L.
Mr. Lanfear. Thank you, sir. Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Consent agenda item 7D, approving interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Grand Island and the Nebraska State Fair for 2025.
All right, good evening, council. Spencer Schubert, Communications Manager. I'm not used to talking in front of other people, so give me a fair shake here. Joking aside, when I first came here as Communications Manager for the city, I instantly wanted to know how many different entities we could collaborate with. And quickly, I turned to legal and they said, not many. But one thing that did stick through was the Nebraska State Fair and the presence they already have, not only in Grand Island, but across the entire state. The advantage of being two governmental entities, we were able to say, what do you want from us? What do we want from you? And one thing that we built from it just last year for the very first time was a state fair interlocal. So this is year two. We'll dive into what year one was here in just a little bit, but year two here, this is what we have in front of you tonight as council. Grand Island, the city, would receive Welcome to Grand Island Day, which is set for Sunday, August 24th, which is the first weekend of the fair for those keeping track as well. And then this year, we're also looking to be the hydration station main sponsor, so all of the water fountains and kiosks they have throughout the entire grounds. And Jamie's here and the State Fair staff is here to tell you how many they might have across the grounds. But the City of Grand Island would be the main sponsor for that this year. And a photo booth or frame that's on the grounds. We had a fun one last year, which you're about to see as well, but we might be even going bigger and better here in 2025. And then in exchange, the State Fair receives a little bit of me, video and media production services, GIPD staff in terms of the State Fair Marathon, and then also some city-provided feather flags, which is actually something we did last year alongside Grand Island Tourism. Grand Island Tourism and Brad Mellema covered almost all of the costs last year, along with Tanya Brown and Grow Grand Island. So, speaking of last year, this was our 2024 Welcome to Grand Island Day. And what was involved in it was program sponsorship. We actually had 2 days last year. This is the program for Come Back to Grand Island Day. And it shows you that we have the City of Grand Island logo on the banner, the border of the programs, as well as a lot of mentions throughout their PA system throughout the day. On the right side, you'll see what probably, and we'll have Jamie or some of their staff confirm, might have been the hottest day of the fair last year. We handed out a bunch of fans, and by a bunch, I mean 5,000 in 5 hours. So it went over incredibly well, and as you can see, it was in partnership with Grand Island Tourism and Nebraska's Favorite Island slogan that they had. Those fans went like hotcakes. Nebraska's Favorite Island was the theme that we leaned in along with GI Tourism, and that was the frame, as you can see, with some of our various staff, including Councilmember Nickerson making an appearance there. But we had hundreds of people by the end of the day on one of our sponsored days come actually take photos, interact with city staff. I know the mayor was out there in a cowboy hat, which you will see shortly. But it was fun interaction for everybody to not only meet their elected officials, meet their city representatives, but have a memory to use a social media campaign of We Love GI for the hashtag. And then lastly, it was really a team effort. And there's the cowboy hat on Mayor Steele that everybody wants. We had staff from Parks and Rec to building to planning to our administrative staff. We had the mayor out there. We had Laura out there. We were all sweating together. And we obviously had some city council members. I know Chuck and Mitch were both out there. So the onus is on the rest of you guys to step it up this year. But we had a blast. And it was a chance, like I said, for staff, for elected officials to really meet the voters and meet the citizens on the ground, and also really meet a lot of people not from this area and tell them what Grand Island's all about. So I'm going to step aside because we do have the dream team, as I call them, the State Fair brass. So Jamie, coming up.
Look at him follow me so quickly. Thank you, Spencer. I'm so glad that they're here, though. Courtney Glock and Nikki Soltenberg are here in great support of the State Fair. This collaboration is mutually beneficial, I believe, for the city as well as certainly for the State Fair. So glad to have you out there at the gate welcoming guests as they're coming on grounds. And it certainly was a hot day when the fans were handed out. So I know that the guests appreciated that to help enjoy their visit to the State Fair. The State Fair has enjoyed attendance of 4.5 million people since establishing here in Grand Island. Just last year, 314,000 were recorded at the fair. This agreement is a great example of an evolving optional media collaboration, again, mutually beneficial for both parties. The agreement offers the city branding and communication opportunities to thousands who are coming into our community for the annual State Fair, gives you an opportunity to have city presence at the public admission gates and to encourage visitors to come back to Grand Island or to stay longer if they're in town just for the fair. Welcome to Grand Island Day. Again, like Spencer said, is on the first Sunday, which is August 24th this year. In the past 5 years, attendance on that first Sunday fluctuates anywhere from just over 24,000 last year to 30,000. That's just for the last 5 years of attendance on that first Sunday. Adding in the hydration station support in 2025 will show the city's interest to support our guest experience even more by helping to provide hydration to guests who are being mindful both of their pocketbook as well as to the environmental goals for their hydration and safety needs. The photo booth with a carnival backdrop provides a unique memory that fairgoers might look back upon and see the City of Grand Island logo along the photo frame. So we're grateful for the media spotlights of 2024 as well as those that we anticipate for 2025. We have a lot to talk about, and the media opportunity certainly helps us share a great story, and we're grateful for you and for Spencer's participation with all of that. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Otherwise, just here sharing the support for the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nickerson, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we approve 2022-163.
Mr. Hossie?
I would second that motion.
Thank you. Mr. Nickerson?
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation, Spencer and Jamie, just to give us an idea of how successful it was last year. It was a lot of fun. And Chuck, I know he probably had a lot of fun there as well, but trying to corral those people in to get a free photo. And you know, when you're at the State Fair, nothing's free, and they think you're trying to get something. And it's like, come on in, we're going to take your picture with your camera, and it's your souvenir. And we corralled quite a few of them, but there's quite a few got away. But it was a great opportunity. I do have a curiosity, the hydration station, does that mean you're going to be handing out bottles of water, or what's that all about, I guess?
It's more about we generally do sell the bottles of water, so it's more about the refill stations. We did install some water bottle refill stations and a number of drinking fountains across the campus.
Okay, very good. Well, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us. It is a good relationship and a partnership, and I enjoyed having a small part of that. I know a lot of you put a lot more hours in than I did, but it looks like a great opportunity once again. Thank you.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
7M, approving RFP award for general governmental and utility insurance services. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So the item before you is approving the RFP award for general governmental and utilities insurance services. So March 31 of '25, we put out a request for proposals for these services. And this is to advise the city and utilities in matters relating to general governmental insurance and other products. These folks would provide advice on selecting, purchasing, and administrating a fiscally conservative insurance program. On April 24th, 2025, the RFP process closed and we received 4 proposals. So at that point, we go through a process of scoring the proposals. So the committee that was put together consisted of 7 members. So one of them was myself. We had some from HR, from the police department, and from utilities and legal. And so that consisted of the 7 members. Of those proposals, there was 4 criteria to grade by. It was the responsiveness, company experience, personnel experience, and commercial terms. So after that process was over, it was all graded, all put together. We interviewed the top 3. From there, they came in, gave presentations, and it was a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, good questions, and some good answers. So the committee also scored this as well, and the criteria were experience and qualifications, scope of services, cost and fee structure, claim support and risk management, innovation and technology, client reference, track record, presentation, and professionalism. And from there, we got the scoring from there. We put the 2 together, and we came up with the high score. The high score came out to be Alliant Insurance Company. So we are asking that we get approval to move forward for contract negotiations for price and scope of service. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Nickerson, do you have a motion?
I do. I make a motion we approve 2025-172.
Mr. Sheard?
Thank you. I'll second that.
Mr. Nickerson, discussion?
Yeah, Patrick, my question in the narrative that you gave us, and it's what prompted my question, it said something about the utilities company, and I'm just going from memory here. Something to do with they had an agent or whatever, but there's no contract. I mean, that was in the verbiage. And that word, there was no contract, stood out to me. And I guess I'm interested in what that means, and really, to boil all this down into a nutshell, is it doing anything differently than we've done before, or is this the way we've always done it, our insurance?
So we are doing a little bit more formal process. Okay. So as I stated in the memo, this current year's premium for General City is $1.7 million. We shouldn't be spending that money without a contract.
What does that mean, though, without a contract?
Well, a contract will tell you the deliverables, okay? I'm going to contract with you, and you're going to provide me with insurance, say services or risk management or whatever we write into the scope, and then what's our responsibilities. So there's no accountability or holding people to a contract. So we're just trying to get this all written down so everybody knows their role and what they need to do. Through the years, it's just one of those things we're cleaning up. We just never got a contract signed. So
So the contract is committing them to deliver certain services, and what are we required to do? Pay the bill? I mean, that's basically what it comes
Well,
down
pay
to
the
for
bill,
services
but
rendered.
also help them out as well. So when renewal comes, it's a heavy lift, not only for the insurance company, but for us. And so what is that expectation? What is the insurance company's expectation of us? So every couple of years, they'll go and look at, let's say, statement of value of buildings, okay? Well, we need to take them out there, show them what kind of construction, the roof, and so on and so forth. So that's our deliverable to them, to make sure that they're getting the information and working on our behalf as best as they possibly can. So it is up to us to give them enough information for them to succeed. Because if they succeed, we succeed.
So is this another form of bundling? We hear the word bundling all the time now with home and auto and this and that. Here you're bundling a heck of a lot of stuff. Is that the same concept? We're just trying to bundle this all into one big, massive insurance?
We are, actually. So yes, economies of scale. So it's a big insurance policy when you combine the two. So yes. We're also looking for that expertise, especially in power generation. So the company that we have selected, they do this kind of service for 25 other power generation stations, okay? They actually have engineers who are part of their insurance team who will fight on our behalf because, and Ryan, Utilities Director, can speak more to this, but they'll come in and have requirements for what the, let's say the coal plant, whatever requirements there are, okay? They'll be there to talk to the underwriters saying, no, this is different or whatever. So they're gonna help us try to keep our premiums lower and actually have coverage, better coverage on our assets, especially with a solar field. You know, hailstorm comes through, you could wipe it out. So,
I was just wondering, it sounds like it's pretty massive, and you say we're at a 1.7 million now. Do you anticipate this bundling will make that more competitive? I guess it's a crystal ball. You don't know if it's going to be higher than 1.7, but it's going to be the best insurance that at least the most comprehensive plan that we've probably been involved with for quite some time, I'm going to assume.
yes, I would agree with that.
And the people that you've identified boiled to the top is the ones that check all the boxes that
They do.
did everything for
We
you.
had actually 2 top contenders. This one just scored better than all of them. So if we can't work out a contract, you know, we have a fallback, you know, so, and if that one doesn't work out, we got another fallback. So I think we're good.
Okay, what's your expected timeline to pull it all together?
Really soon. I would love to have something to council June 10th. Because the renewal process will take all that time to hit 10-1, to have all our policies in place. So,
All right, well, thank you very much.
sure.
Mr. Hossie and Mr. O'Neill, you've come up as movers and seconders, but we already had a motion to approve and a second. If you wish to speak, you're welcome. Mr. Stell?
Are you foreseeing any cost savings on this? And how much of a savings are we going to see?
At this time, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on placement of insurance, okay? So one thing I'll show you is, this is our concern, is the first bar is our current insurance, okay? That's how much it's going up. So I don't know if you guys can see this.
Jeremy, can you switch?
There-
Thanks.
There we are. So that is our current insurance premium for city. So everyone's insurance is going up, right? And so we got to be a little more aggressive on, are we at the right deductible level? Are values of the buildings, are they too high? Just it's going through the whole insurance program and looking at this, and can we find some savings somewhere? Are we properly insured? Those are the things that, we're looking for, some strategy. So
Now, the people that have bid on that, are they local people, or are they statewide people?
on which ones?
That have bid for your insurance?
So currently, they are local. It's Ryder Rosacker. So yes.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Public hearing 8A, public hearing request from Balls at Prairie Commons, DBA Balls Sports Bar, 3568 In-8 Lane, Suite A, Grand Island, Nebraska, for a Class C liquor license. Mrs. Grenier.
An application for a Class C liquor license was filed with the Liquor Control Commission and received by the city on May 1st, 2025. A notice to the general public of date, time, and place of hearing was published on May 17, 2025. A notice to the applicant of date, time, and place of hearing was mailed on May 2nd, 2025, along with Chapter 4 City Code Alcoholic Beverages. Departmental reports were received as required by City Code, and recommendation is to approve upon final inspection. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Brown, your motion, please.
Move we approve 2025 TAC 173.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
I second that we approve 2025-173.
Discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
8B, public hearing to consider approval of blighted and substandard area number 41. Mr. Nabity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item before you this evening is for blighted and substandard area number 41. This is located south of Capitol Avenue, just to the east of North Road. Includes the houses that are along Capitol Avenue and then undeveloped properties in the Sterling subdivision or just north of the Sterling subdivision. This was presented to council back in March, and council forwarded it to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this and did recommend approval. Tonight, if you approve this, it does not approve any TIF projects, but you are inviting TIF projects to come forward. And I would anticipate that we will see TIF projects come forward for development of the rest of this property here. Mr. Marvin conducted the study. The study does show that it is eligible to be declared blighted and substandard, but the decision is up to council as to whether they want to make essentially TIF available at this area.
Public hearing is now open. Keith Marvin, did you want to speak or just questions?
I'll let Zach go first.
Zach, okay.
Good evening, everybody. Zach Butts. As Chad mentioned, we were in front of you guys in March, and I talked to you guys a little bit about this project in March. And so I won't belabor that, but just as a reminder, this project, the blighted and substandard portion of it is a joint effort between SGRE, the folks that have Sterling Apartments, and the Staratskas. They both have interest in the property in question, and both of them are looking to put in really cool long-term developments. And so we're here tonight to hopefully create that opportunity for them. As Chad mentioned, he thinks there's going to be some TIF applications accompanying this, and I do too. I can't 100% verify that for you because I would never 100% verify anything, but you guys should expect probably 2 TIF applications. One of them may be a little sooner than the other, but they will be coming. And so we're asking for you to allow us to take the next step, to allow us to present our vision for housing on these parcels, to allow us to present our vision for some really cool new development for the city of Grand Island. I'd mentioned this last time, but just as a reminder, obviously, that since this does affect houses and stuff for folks, we wanted to be really upfront with the community members that are in the affected area. Every single homeowner was invited to an information session on this, and the folks that came left pleased with what they heard. So we're happy to have, if not the outright support, at least the acceptance of all the neighbors on the project. And so we are looking for at least your guys' acceptance tonight. If you approve the blighted and substandard area, it gives us the chance to bring forward some ideas that we think are going to be good for the city long-term, viable quality housing long-term, and overall continued investment both from the generational families in this community and outside folks who see the opportunity that Grand Island has. And so happy to answer any questions. Keith, as he mentioned, is here tonight if there's any details on the blight study you want to hone in on. And Deborah Klein from SGRE has been out this is her 3rd meeting now. She is ready and willing with anything you guys want to discuss on their end. So thank you very much. We appreciate your consideration.
Deborah, did you just want to talk if there's any questions also?
No. Excuse me. Hi, Deborah Klein, and from Omaha and with the owners group. We do own the Sterling Apartments. We've already built phase 1. That was back in 2013, and we finished phase 2 in about 2015. We do have a parcel of land that's still available to build on, and we'd like to build something really nice for your community. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
They may have some after they make a motion. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this?
Good evening, Keith Marvin Planning Consultants. Always a pleasure to stand up here in front of you folks. As Zach and Chad alluded to, we did the study. I'm here also to answer any technical questions you might have on this study, but nothing more to add.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Hossie.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve Resolution 2025-174.
Mr. Pollock.
And I would second that.
Discussion.
Please vote. Sorry. Motion adopted.
8C, public hearing on request from Tommy L. Ummel Jr. and Mid-Nebraska Land Developers for conditional use permit to operate a concrete crushing site located at 2678 Shady Bend Road. Mr. Nabity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item before you this evening is for a temporary conditional use permit for up to 2 years for concrete crushing at this site. The site is located on Shady Bend and Capitol Avenue, just south of the storage units, immediately there south of the golf course. The property is zoned M2 heavy manufacturing. It has been zoned M2 heavy manufacturing since, I believe, the early 1960s. It is adjacent to the airport. Some of you were on council about 15 years ago when we had a request to rezone some property along Capitol Avenue just on the west side of Sky Park Road, and the airport came in and said, you can't rezone that to residential. It's zoned heavy manufacturing. We don't want residential anywhere close to the airport. And with good reason. The airport needs that protection. The proposed use is for concrete crushing for a 2-year period. That is something that is appropriate in the M2 heavy manufacturing zone. It does require a conditional use permit. You have a copy of all of the conditions that staff is recommending as part of this, including hours of operation and hospital-grade mufflers on the equipment that is used out there to minimize noise impacts. There will be dust, and there will be concrete dust with this. That is inevitable with this kind of operation. Again, the zoning map shows that the area around there is zoned M2, heavy manufacturing, with this area here as transitional agriculture on the east side of Shady Bend Road. That is planned for manufacturing uses. Everything around the airport is planned for manufacturing uses on the future land use map. So it's either going to remain agricultural or it will transition to those manufacturing uses at some point in the future. I did have a question come up, where do we have similar operations? Block construction or nitro concrete crushing is located off of 2nd Street and Koenig Street. And you can see where one of the concrete crushing operations that has been in place for 50-plus years has been there, and its relationship to the other surrounding uses, including Gates Elementary School, which is about 550 feet from the property line. The golf course is about 660 feet north of the existing use, or the proposed use. The nearest house is about 600 feet from the proposed placement of this item. As far as storage of concrete and so on, contractors' yards, storage, those kinds of things are a permitted principal use. A concrete or asphalt batch plant is a permitted principal use. They wouldn't have to come before you for that. They could just put it there without any additional approvals other than pulling their building permit. I know there are a number of people that want to speak on this. I'm available for questions if and when you have those.
Public hearing is now open. Sedana Manful.
Thank you, Council. My name is Sedana Manful. I'm here speaking as General Manager of Jackrabbit Run Golf Course. Just have some concerns about the type of operation that's being proposed on this piece of land that is, as Mr. Nabity said, less than 700 feet south of our facility. Our main concerns are about the noise, the dust impacts on well water and turf grass, as well as the possible health impacts that this could have on our patrons and employees. I just feel it's my responsibility to advocate for Jackrabbit Run as the city amenity that we landscapes manages, as well as our employees and patrons that use the golf course. Concrete dust contains harmful silica particles, and prolonged or intense exposure can be dangerous. Over time, inhaling these fine particles may lead to severe health issues like silicosis, COPD, or even lung cancer. Concrete dust, especially silica dust, can travel significant distances depending on the particle size and the wind conditions. I don't consider 660 feet significant distance. Fine respirable silica dust can be lifted into the air and travel for several miles, potentially impacting air quality and posing health risks in surrounding areas. The larger, coarser particles will travel shorter distances and settle more quickly. Concrete dust on golf greens specifically can have detrimental effects, and it's mainly by impacting the soil properties and potentially damaging the turf. It can raise the soil pH, clog pores, and inhibit water drainage, which can hinder turf grass growth and overall green health. Additionally, concrete dust can impact the physical and chemical properties of the soil, affecting aeration and nutrient availability. As far as the soil pH goes, concrete dust, especially when mixed with cement, can increase soil pH, creating an alkaline environment that may not be ideal for many turfgrass species. Soil porosity and drainage, the fine particles of concrete dust can clog soil pores, reducing aeration and hindering water damage. Nutrient availability, while some nutrients may become more soluble in an alkaline environment, the clogging effects can also limit the availability of essential nutrients in the turf grass. Concrete dust can contribute to soil compaction, which further restricts root growth and aeration. And turf damage, concrete dust can damage turf leaves, interfering with photosynthesis and overall turf health. Infiltration, the possible runoff can then percolate through the soil, excuse me, and reach groundwater sources, potentially contaminating wells. Water runoff can also increase the electrical conductivity of well water, as well as the concentration of other ions like calcium and potassium. As far as the noise concerns, I read the proposal and understand that there's going to be hospital-grade mufflers on the motors, but those mufflers are not going to make the noise of the actual crushing concrete any quieter. It's just on the motors, from what I understand. I'm also concerned about some alarms that the machines can put off that I'm sure we're going to be able to hear very well from our property, which is so close. My questions are basically these, is I spoke to a gentleman, I apologize, I don't know his last name, Robbie, from Mid-Nebraska Land Development, who contacted me at the golf course about my concerns. And he indicated to me that there would not be dust, and that if it was a very windy day, they wouldn't be crushing that day, even though it's not good for business. So my question is what wind level will the crushing operation cease? And I'm curious to know what the plan is to contain the water, as stated in Section 3K, because the water that we put on the course at Jackrabbit Run is all well water. So any possible runoff or contamination from this operation could have a significant negative impact on our existing well water and basically what we're watering the course with every night. And then who do we contact if there is dust or noise issues, and then how quickly is that situation going to be resolved? So although I realize that the location was chosen partially for financial reasons for the city, and I understand that, but there are potential impacts to the golf course, the well water, the greens. The grass on the greens is literally less than 1/8 of an inch tall. So it doesn't take much to damage that, and we've got some potential damage here. The fairways, the rough areas, and that this would have a significant financial impact on the business if the course was damaged. Replanting greens alone is a very long-term and expensive process. For example, if we lost greens right now, we're not going to have greens until next season. So, again, I appreciate the time. I just wanted to express some concerns from the golf course perspective. If you have questions, let me know.
Tommy Ummel.
Thank you, council, for having me tonight speak. I am the property owner at that's requesting a conditional use permit here tonight. About 2 years ago, I purchased the property and plan to turn the property into a really nice manufacturing/industrial complex, something good for the city. I bought the ground because it was M2 zone, and I'd like to use it as the M2 zone would allow. Since then, I've leased out the property to Mid-Nebraska land developers, and for Robbie's here tonight. He's speaking, I believe, after me. He can tell you a lot of the answers I think that maybe we're looking for as far as who to contact and such. So basically tonight I'm asking you folks for your approval for the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Robbie, and I can't read your last name, so if you come up, if you can spell it for me.
RTS. Good evening. I'm going to try and explain a little bit of what we're trying to do with the crushing. We have at our own facility by Aurora, we have installed sprayers off the end of the conveyors. We've got an internal spraying system inside the crusher. The crusher is internal, so the noise from the actual crushing is really not that loud. I can't tell you an exact decibel. But what I can tell you is, probably driving by on the road, you're never going to hear the machine. You're going to hear a backup alarm on a loader over your engine or the crusher itself. These machines are all relatively new. We try and keep everything up to date. We have a 6-inch well there to get water to sprinkle the ground. We were going to add asphalt to the ground. That'll help keep the truck dust down from the entering and exiting for the trucks. The crusher itself, we try and keep it under 140 tons an hour. We really can't crush any more than that because it's screen size. But anyway, when we keep it under there, it's pretty easy to keep the dust under control on the machine itself while we're crushing. The dust we've had here in the previous, is a little unexpected. We haven't been there to crush, so we haven't had any equipment there. We had some severe wind with the dry dirt, and that's what's been blowing. And I understand that's a concern, but we want to be good neighbors. I've talked with the storage unit people and tried to explain to them that, if we get a good south wind, I'm thinking 20 to 25 mile an hour, we probably can't crush because there's no way we'll be able to contain the vehicles driving around. Will be worse than the actual crusher itself. What I'm here to tell you guys, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but that's kind of, we're going to try and do everything we can to be a good steward to the golf course and everybody. And I understand the concerns, because there's health concerns out there about it, and we take the precautions because I don't want lung cancer. My son works on the thing every day. He runs the machine itself, and I oversee it. So that being said, I understand health concerns and the noise, and we try and keep it to a minimum. That's our goal. We want to try and be good stewards to the land and the people. If there's any stipulations that someone would like to see, implement, if we try and do this, if it all works out great, I would be more than willing to take advice or any ideas. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Dennis Edwards.
Ladies, gentlemen, Doug, nice choice in shirts. Of course, I've got some concerns with this. One thing is the dust. I worked for the Grand Island Public Schools for a number of years as a maintenance supervisor for them. And I was in charge of Gate School as maintenance, and I also was in charge of their custodians. We hated that plant over there. So to say there was no problems with the school being there, that's not true. We fought that dust all the time. And it's not easy to keep a school clean to start with, let alone deal with that dust. The county road, the paved road that leads to this site, the county fights that road all the time because it has a habit of collapsing. It washes out and it collapses because that road acts as a dike to direct the storm waters from the city. They just recently out there had to dig it up again because it tunneled underneath the road, and we were still driving on the road, but there was a tunnel underneath the road about this big. So they got that dug out. That's not the first time it's happened there. The road simply will not handle the traffic without extensive maintenance. The noise is noise. I own a property directly across from the golf course and directly across partially from the storage units. And we like the sound of airplanes. I'm sorry, but some people do. So it doesn't bother us. But the sound of that plant, I would really invite somebody in the council to go visit one of those plants when it's in operation. Make sure you take your face mask and something for your ears. I don't understand the whole way this all works, but we're here for the council to approve this. But who approved them going in there and doing all the grading work and haul the concrete in there and haul the asphalt in there and put a culvert in and put a driveway in? All of that's been done, and this hasn't been approved by the council. How does that happen? Now, I don't doubt Mr. Navity's legal standing on this thing. If it was just always a legal matter, we wouldn't need a council, would we? We just need a group of lawyers. No offense, Roger. I don't understand how that happens. How does all of this construction happen? Is all of this happening and the council hasn't had any input in it? That bothers me a little bit. And it should bother the council. I've got a swimming pool at the house across the street, across the road. I would predict I'm probably going to replace the pump in that swimming pool every year because of that concrete dust. Concrete dust and pumps don't get along very well, and bearings don't get along very well. And people and concrete dust don't get along very well. I suffer from asbestosis. I've got a pretty good idea what this type of thing can do to a person. And it doesn't show up tomorrow. It shows up down the road. Another problem, or another thing I'd like to point out, apparently there's a very limited area that you need to notify people that something like this is happening, like 200 feet or 200 yards within it. So none of us, other than the storage park, were notified any of this was going on. Our first clue was there was a sign went up out alongside the road that said it was under a conditional use. And I noticed Mr. Navity didn't mention the houses across the street. We've got a gentleman building a brand-new house directly across the street from this. I own a 5-acre lot there with a house on it. And there's a string of houses that go on by past the golf course. If I was a golf course, I'd be mighty upset, and I think she gave you some good reasons to be upset. They worked really hard at making that golf course what it is today from what it was. But golfers are very picky people. They like their environment the way they like their environment, and I don't think this is conducive to that. So I guess that's enough complaints from me, but I would like you to take note of some of the things I pointed out as a council and as a person. Thank you.
Gary Quant.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm here to oppose to this plant being placed where it is. I'm not an expert like this young lady was on golf courses. I worked at one for 3 years when I got out of school. I've never shot a ball at a hole in my life. I've had more important things to do than chase a little ball around all day long. But as an elected official, as many as you are, I forget how many hundreds of thousands of dollars of money you put into that golf course a year. This plant will kill Jackrabbit Run Golf Course. We have one of these plants on the east side of the airport. If you drive by down Sky Park Road sometime on a windy day, whether they're running or not, there's concrete dust blowing all over the place. These motors, when these things are grinding, you can go drive out to that one east of there, or west of the airport, it's on the north side. Those motors are so loud, you can't hear yourself driving down the road. It's unbelievable. This will kill that golf course. And we've got good taxpayers' money that's going into this golf course. Another reason why I'm opposed to it, and we've had hearings at the county board meeting on the railroad tracks. When the railroad's parked there, it blocks Capitol Avenue, it blocks Sky Park Road. I've seen semis back across Capitol Avenue over to North Sky Park Road because they have to turn around. And you're going to put more trucks on that road? It couldn't be in a worse place than where we're putting it. We've already got one on the west side. It's going to kill the golf course, and it's going to impede the traffic there. This isn't the place to put this thing. And if I was a city council person, I'd be very, very concerned what it's going to do to your investment in the golf course. You know, they're going to go someplace else. When I worked for the golf course, they complained about my mower running. Having a 500 to 1,000 horse motor running, grinding up concrete, it's not going to happen. They're going to go to the other golf course, and you guys are going to end up turn it back into an old dump like it was 50 years ago. You know, that brings people to town. I heard on KRGI today, some type of golf tournament that was going to be their high school golf tournament. This brings people into town, and we're going to ask them to drive by something like this. It's it's wrong. And I really wish you guys consider the long-term effects of what this is going to do to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? That's okay, if you'll state your name when you come up.
I'm the manager up at Storage Park. I've been there about 13 years now. And I'm concerned about what it's going to do to business there. I would be very surprised if the word didn't eventually get out that your camper is going to get covered with this soot. All your belongings in your storage units are going to get covered if you don't cover them. And did all the councilmen get a letter from Ray? Ray sent a letter to all the councilmen on his concerns. I'm sorry he can't be here today, but he was down in Havasu. I just want to vote against it for all the same reasons they did. I think it's going to hurt business, something terrible. But I can only predict that, but I don't see how it could because of the amount of soot we're going to have all over everything out there. Okay, that's all I got. I'd like to vote against it, please. Thank you.
Did you want to come up and speak? Go ahead and come up and state your name.
Mike Shoemaker. I was not planning on being here, so I apologize. I don't have anything planned. I'm also opposed to it. I'm the one building right across from the storage facility. And honestly, I didn't think much of it when I saw it going in. I didn't know what it was. It was probably 3 weeks ago we had a significant wind event for multiple days, and one day it happened to be straight out of the west. And looking out as I'm out there quite a bit, it was for hundreds and hundreds of feet, just a cloud of dust coming straight off of that. My first thought was dust. Well, that's not great. Being in the construction industry, it finally clicked. Silica. It's heavily regulated. OSHA, it's something they really concern. People working around it should have respirators. There's all kinds of containment things that they put in place. So yeah, the light bulbs went off. I got a family that's going to be living there, and that was pretty much my biggest concern right there. So much more to be said, as everybody else has already said, and that's pretty much all my statement is, that I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Council members, is there a motion? The matter has died for lack of a motion. Eight D, public hearing on acquisition of utility easement, 3400 West 13th Street, Target Corporation. Mr. Schmitz, are you presenting on 8D?
8D is a utility easement for a transformer to feed the new Target. Thank you.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Haase?
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve Resolution 2025-176.
Mr. Brown,
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
8E, public hearing on acquisition of public right-of-way for South Locust Street improvements, Fauner Park Road to Second Street, project number 2021-P-6. Gomez.
Yes, this is another right-of-way acquisition for the South Locust Street project. We're getting towards the end of them. There's a couple more yet to come, but just another one needed to complete the roadway.
Thank you, sir.
Public hearing is now open for this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Motion is in order, council. Mr. Lanfear,
I move we approve 2025-177.
Mr. Sheard,
Thank you. I will second.
any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Ordinance number 9A, consideration of sale of property, lots 1 and 2, Webb Road, 4th subdivision. Is there a motion to suspend the statutory rules regarding ordinances? Mr. Lanfear.
I move we suspend the statutory rules regarding ordinances.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill,
I'll second that.
any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Mr. Schmitz, are you presenting?
Mr. Mayor, we've been slowly selling off lots in that area. We had an old 34.5 kV transmission line back in the day, and we're giving those to the adjacent property owners. So these, I believe, are the last 2 lots in that process. The lots are owned by Bruning Bank and Dugan Funeral Services. Thank you.
Is there a motion, council? Mr. Pollock
I move to approve 10,017.
and Mr. Sheard.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Ordinance 9B, consideration of creation of sanitary sewer district number 546, portion of Roush and Coble subdivision. Mr. Kurtz? Oh, I need a motion to suspend the statutory rules. Mr. Sheard?
Thank you. I move that we suspend the rules.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Please present, Mr. Kurtz.
Yes, good evening. Before you is consideration of creating a sanitary sewer district in this area south of Fauner Park along Stolly Park Road. As outlined in your packets, about a year ago, we were approached by a property owner. This area here is currently unserved by sanitary sewer. They were inquiring about potentially getting a sewer district going. We worked on a couple different ideas on how to serve this area. Mostly, we had 2 options. One was to run down Stolly Park. One was to run in the backyard of these properties here to serve them. Obviously, the Stolly Park option wasn't really a good choice because we'd have to tear out the road and it'd be very costly for those folks to incur that pavement replacement. So the option was to go in the back of their lots. And there's a lot of restoration work, fences, garden sheds, trees, all of the things. So we relayed the information to one of the property owners, and they went around, talked to their neighbors, didn't generate much interest. Fast forward a year or so, we're currently working on a roadway project for Stolly Park Road to essentially repave it. This project is in the long-range planning of our transportation system. It's been talked about for some time. Essentially go from an asphalt road to a 3-lane curb and gutter, concrete, storm sewer, drainage, sidewalks, all of the things along that corridor. Hopefully improve access into the Fauner Park area as well during the busy times as well as just day to day. So I wanted to reach out to the property owners along here, so they could be notified that the roadway project was going to be happening, as well as if we were already doing the roadway project, now would be the time to look at a sewer project, i.e., we're going to tear it up anyway, we're going to repave it, we're going to restore everything in the right-of-way, build the sidewalks, all of the things. So if they wanted to talk about sewer, this would be the time. So we reached out to all of them. We had a public meeting for these owners. We had a translator available. We overviewed the project and talked them through it. I told them at that time, if I didn't get at least 50% of the people interested, I wasn't going to take it before the council. I didn't want to waste everybody's time and create a bunch of work for nothing. So at the end of the day, we had 7 of the 14 properties interested in this, so we're right at the threshold. There is an 8th property that has signed in the past an agreement to not protest a sewer district. So that technically pushes us over the 50%. Again, they still have the option if this was to proceed to protest against it. So it's not a done deal, but it would be the next step. So we presented them with those options, and like I said, as shown before you, this is the next step to create the district so that they can either formally proceed or protest the project.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Hossie.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve ordinance number 10018.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. Discussion? Mr. Nickerson.
Couple of questions. First of all, are you aware of any septic tank failures that have been going in that area that would have helped prompt this? None? And if they did fail, I always remember in the back of my mind that the restrictions by Nebraska, whatever the agency is, sometimes it's a little tighter if you need to replace one. Leach fields and all that, I'm not an expert on any of that. I don't know if that applies to any of this, if anybody would end up with a septic tank failure that they could not replace. Does that seem feasible at all?
I believe that they probably could replace it. I don't know any reason why they couldn't. Our city code says that if you're not within a couple hundred feet of a sewer main, which all of these folks are not, then they can technically put in a septic system. So again, I'm not aware of any law that would prohibit them from hooking up or re-hooking up to a septic system.
They needed to, okay. And then if for some reason this sewer district was not approved, would you go through all the work of building the street without putting a sewer in it once you've dug everything up?
Yeah, I would. There is an option to build a sewer, like I mentioned in the back. It is going to be a little bit more painful for the property owners, but they have that option in the future, obviously, to tear up their backyard versus the front yard that's already going to be tore up. But there is an option. It is a little bit more expensive. I think I probably could save every property or per service, maybe a couple, $2,000 or $3,000 by going in the front versus the back. But again, it's not a substantial difference. So yes, we would proceed with the roadway project without the sewer if they voted against it.
Okay. And if I remember right, your estimated cost was somewhere between $22,000 and $25,000 for each of these properties to connect to, or to be part of the district.
So yeah, that is the main and the services stubbed up to the right-of-way line. They would still have to hire their own plumber to abandon their existing septic tank and hook from the tank, or the old tank where it was, up to the sewer main. So there would be an additional cost. They are not required at the time of the project to hook up. For example, if somebody had a new system out here and they wanted to get their full life out of that system, they're not required to hook to the public main until they're in failure or until they want to. So yes, they would still be responsible for the assessment of the sewer main itself, but they wouldn't have to pay the monthly bill or hire a plumber to hook up to the system or anything like that. That's at their choice.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Thank you, council. We are adjourned.